Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is NUR ATIQAH ZUKAPELI and I am from class DBS 5B. So today I would like to explain about the elements of contract between useless and Mrs. Useful. As you can see on the screen, this is the scenario about useless and Mrs. Useful. According to Section 2 Clause D, consideration is defined as when on the will of promisor or promisee or other person who has done or does not do or promises to do or does not to do something, the activity or promise is called a consideration for a promise. In other words, each party are agreed to give and get something for what they have been promised. Based on Section 2 Clause D, the categories of considerations that they made is executed consideration. Executed consideration is where the promiser asks for something in return for his promise and the party who promises gives consideration by giving what his promise asks for. For example, Mrs. Useful promised to Useless that she will provide him 1,000 as his monthly expenses and a terrace house if he agreed to return home and further studies business studies at College Polytechnic Mara, Ipoh. After Useless agreed with his mother offer, finally Useless took this as an opportunity and decided to leave his job. He accepted the offer by his mother, Mrs. Useful. From this situation, the activity of Useless decided to return Ipoh and further his study is the executed considerations. Besides, Mrs. Useful has promised to give monthly expenses and a terrace house is called as a contract. Next, the element of contract is intention to create legal relations. To make a reasonable contract, the law requires that the parties to an agreement must have objective to create a legal relation. In its simplest form, intentions to create legal relations means that the parties must intend to enter into a legally binding arrangement in which the rights and obligations of the agreement are enforceable. To determine whether intention exists or not, the law divides agreement in two classes, which is commercial or business agreement and social and domestic or family agreement. But from this scenario, the agreement that related is family agreement. A domestic or family agreement are agreements which are made between persons having a family relationship. In spite of the general rule of contract, parties in social, domestic and family agreements may not have the objective to create legal relations, but domestic contracts are legally binding. In the case of Useless and Mrs. Useful, the mother has promised to give 1,000 of monthly expenses and a terrace house to her son if he could leave his job and come back to Ipoh to further his study. But after 6 months he back, there is misunderstanding between mother and a son. And lastly, Mrs. Useful decides to stop giving the expenses and asks Useless to leave the house that she provided. Because his mother wants to take back her promises, Useless wants to take a legal action against his mother for the monthly expenses as well as the vacant possessions of the house. But the Court of Appeal held that the agreement was not intended to be legally binding. It is because of there is no intention to create a legal relation between the mother and son. Consequently, the Mrs. Useful has the right in these situations. That's all from me about the existing contract between Useless and Mrs. Useful by assessing the elements of considerations and intention to create a legal relations. Thank you!